My name's Robert Lester. I'm here on part of the Great American Rail Trail to talk to you today a little about the Columbia River Canoe Project. The Columbia River Canoe Project was, a true expedition from the Continental Divide in Montana all the way through the entire Columbia River watershed, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And throughout that trip, we traveled for over 1,300 miles over 52 days, and we actually ended up walking the canoe for 175 plus miles of that trip. You usually wouldn't think of a canoe journey about walking, but trail use was super important on our journey. We ended up portaging the canoe or walking it around impediments in the river, and in that process, the use of trails was key. When we were able to use good trail systems, it was not only easier for us to get back in the river, but it was much safer. There was a point in this 175 miles that we were portaging where we had to decide whether we were going to walk along an active highway or along a heavily used railroad track. And that decision ends up, really impacting the safety of ourselves and the success of the trip. To expand on why it was so much easier when we had a trail to complete one of these portages around a dam really has to do with the mental taxation, right? We've came up to this dam, we've been paddling for hours, and when you knew you had a trail, it was so much easier to get out and get ready for that portage, as opposed to when you'd be out having to go miles around in the wrong direction in order to be in a spot where you could walk around this dam. When we came up to the dam at Noxon Reservoir, there was no trail at all. We actually talked to the people at the dam, and they told us, the next place you can put in is 15 miles down the road. So our options were, walk on a road around this dam for 15 miles, or try and battle our way through some brush and down some of these really steep hills where we actually had to take out the canoe, set it on the ground, and use ropes to lower it down these steep banks because it wasn't safe enough to be able to walk down the banks with the canoe. And then we'd be walking over boulders with this canoe to be able to get it and get back in the water. And the difference between that and times when we'd be able to take sections of trail was truly monumental. Waterway connectivity and trail connectivity really kind of mirror each other, and they're both really important. These dams are areas where you're not able to continue your passage smoothly. And the same thing is true about trail connectivity. And it's really important that we're able to connect communities, connect areas within communities, so that people are able just to travel without having these issues, where they're not having to walk on a highway, where they're not having to be in traffic. The addition of trails is really the addition of safety. On this trip, we used all kinds of different types of trails, and that really showed me the value of all of these trails. We at times were on small city trails. There were times when we were on rails to trails. And there were even times when we were on sections of major trails like the Pacific Crest Trail. And really the value is in all of these different types of trails. People have heard of these big ones and walk for miles on them. But to the daily person, these smaller trail systems are just as important. That value in being outdoors every day is truly unmatched. And it's something that most people in society today aren't experiencing. The opportunities in which we all get to experience nature is not all equal. But the value that nature provides is truly limitless. And a big way where we can increase the equality of those opportunities is through good trail systems.